everybody, and welcome back to Pit Stain Hobbies, the dumbest modeling channel on all of YouTube. And we're back with the lovely Agora models, Jeep Willys SAS model. We have Pack 2 here, and oh yeah, you gotta watch SAS Rouge Heroes. That's such a good show, and you could see this Jeep in action, or very similar Jeeps to this. This isn't the show Jeep, but it is officially licensed by Jeep. And we've got some stages here. So we're going to kick it off with stage 6. We're going to put this over yonder, keep it out of the way. We'll slice our bits out of here. So we're going to be continuing working on the engine intake and looks like the transmission bell housing. So we're going to build I think a carburetor. That should be fun. And I am going to do a little bit of custom painting on the carburetor. There's so many different pictures of like original and restored World War II Go Devil engines out on the internet. I found a nice one on Wikipedia, Schmuckopedia, if you want to call it that. But yeah, so it looks like most of the engine was indeed just regular Army green, OD green, and olive drab, whatever you want to call it. But a few parts were not that color. Specifically, the intake and exhaust manifolds were more of a raw metal finish. So I just used some Tamiya dark iron for that, because they were iron. Those were cast iron manifolds back then. So I figured, what the hell, that kind of makes sense. So what are we going to start with? Let's see, we're going to start putting together the carburetor. So we're going to take this little thing with this little sleeve with the little lip at the top and just shove her onto there. Now, does it want to stay on its own? It's a pretty decent press fit. I'm going to throw just a tiny spooge of Tamiya extra thin cement onto this. That's it. We'll get that on there, and everything should be copacetic. There we go. There we have it. And then, we're going to take this little chunker right here. Gritting my teeth holding tiny parts. And the little wings are going to go underneath that little cylinder area. I'm going to throw an AP screw right in the bottom. Right there. I'll be back in a sec. Okay, I zoomed in a little bit so we can get a better view. But that little AP screw's in the bottom there. And now this little square round doohickey is going to go in the hole, and we want it so that it is oriented like so. That's what it looks like in the picture. Yes, that way. So that's going to be the way I'm putting it in there. So that's what the picture shows. I like pictures. Minimal words in the Agora instruction manuals, which I find rather relaxing. Now, it says now they want us to bolt this down to the intake manifold, like so. They want us to have it down there. But before I do that, I am going to paint this carburetor in some Tamiya chrome silver. You could use aluminum, you could use whatever you like. I have Tamiya aluminum paint somewhere around here. The chrome silver is handy, and it's fine, because this was a raw aluminum part. You really don't go around painting carburetors normally. It's kind of not best practices. You usually mask them off and don't paint them when you're painting an engine. So let me get that painted real quick, and I'll be back in a sec. Alrighty, well, our carburetor is drying over in the paint booth, and we are now going to take this little guy here Isn't he adorable? A little teacup. And I know it has a name. Someone will correct me in the comments. I just called it a teacup to piss off my friend Eric. That was really it. It has a hole there, and there's a hole in this bracket. You want to line it up that way. So that it's looking like that. They're so tiny there, just hard to get on camera. I'm going to throw an AP screw in that hole and be right back. Alrighty, well, we're back, and we've got our little AP screw in there. Now, this bit needs to go in just like that. Sorry, needs to go in with this little gold guy facing up. I've got my painted carburetor bolted down to the manifold with 2 AP screws. See, nice little contrast. This engine is it's supposed to be very drab. It's military. Nothing special going on. So 1 DM screw. It's sort of self-explanatory. There's a pin. It goes in one hole. The other hole goes over the other hole. And you thread in your DM screw. There we go. You forgot your oil, Ian. It's okay. It's okay. It's going in fine. Rules for me, not for thee. Not so much. I just forgot. There we have it. So that's looking good. I might want to loosen this AP screw a bit and make sure we can kind of line this guy up. It wants to automatically rotate on the last turn of tightening. So we're going to put something under there to keep it from rotating. Now it sticks out a little bit better. It'll make it easier to get the hose on there later. Now, you know me and hoses. I've sort of like, screw these hoses. I'm tired of hoses. Not always. If it's underneath the car, you're never going to see it. I don't really bother. With the Willys Jeep, you see everything everywhere when you open the hood. So everything that shows, I'm going to go do. Oh my God. Oh, all the hoses. What have I got myself into? Got myself into an awesome military model. That's what I've got myself into. So we did that, we did that, we did that. Okay, now we got to bolt on this little square doohickey. This looks like a motor mount if I've ever seen one. So that is going to go right in there. And that hole right there is going to get a DM screw. I am going to put oil on it this time. Don't worry. I'm going to lube. I'm going to schmoo my screw. Don't worry. Never screw without schmooing first. I mean, you don't want to put your screw into a dry hole. You know, really, it's not a good idea. I don't recommend it. Okay, I've hit just about every innuendo possible. Is that not like fully seated? Am I missing the hole? It's the story of my life. This hole seems way too big for a DM screw. Yeah, that hole's huge. That is a huge hole. Yeah, I'm going to go find a bigger screw and do some test screwing and see what fits in here. And I will come and report back with which screw will fit into sein hole. But it says DM, and DM, the screw just flops around in there like a hot dog down the hallway. So, story of my life. I'll be right back. Okay, so I watched Wayne's video, and I've looked at the instructions, and this hole on my part apparently was accidentally oversized. Now, I could ask for a replacement part, but then I would have to take apart basically the entire engine, and I really don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is plan B, our friend CA glue. And we are going to put a few dollops of this on there. Not too much. Let me get a little Q-tip or toothpick. There we go. Toothpick will work. I'll get some of this glue off of here. There we go. Just need just a rub-a-dub-dub. We're just going to glue that in, and it'll hold fine. I'm not worried about that. And then we'll do the same with our screw. Now, I found some bigger screws and all that, but like even the biggest screw from a part work I found was not really big enough. So clearly it was an error in manufacturing. I haven't heard complaints from anybody else about the same issue, so I think I was a one-off as far as I'm aware. But if you do have this, just ask for a replacement part. Just check that hole when you first are looking at the engine block parts, and test fit a DM screw into that hole, and you'll know right away if you got a good one or you got a weird one like me. Oh, that sounded odd. Oh, you got a weird one like, oh boy. Okay, so now what we're going to do is install the starter onto the transmission bell housing, and that is going to go, so this bottom part is going to go on this pin here, and the top part's going to go right up there, and then that's most likely an AP screw. Let me double check. Yes, so one AP screw into that hole. Be right back. Okay, so our starter motor is installed. Nice. And then we're going to put it over here. The starter motor is going to go to the top right of the engine. We're going to put it in place. And then there's a tab here and here that are each going to get a DM screw. So 1 second, please, and I'll be right back. Okay, so with that tightened down, we're going to take our hose. Now, I've already pre-cut this just for ease. We want two pieces. One of them is going to be 7.5 centimeters. The other one will be 5 centimeters. We're then going to take the long hose. We're going to put one end onto the carburetor, and that fit on nicely. The other end is going to go on. Oh, this looks like a mechanical fuel pump. There you go, Eric. Watch the whole video before you leave a comment, jerk. He's one of my best friends. Don't worry. And then we got the shorter hose, and that's going to go from the side of the engine with this little nipple right here, which almost looks like some recirculation valve or PCV or something, because it's going underneath the carburetor, so it's probably recirculating crankcase gases into the intake. And there we go. We got those two on there just like that. I didn't need to stretch them or anything with any of the techniques like using a toothpick or anything. But yeah, we may have to do that later on. I've done it before, and we'll do it again at some point. So that motor mount's on there really good. Oop. Don't say engine mount, say motor mount. Lawnmowers have engines. Proper automotive vehicles have motors. There we go. Or is it electric motors? Car engines? You know, I hear conflicting opinions on that, honestly. Like, they don't call it engine sports, car racing. They call it motorsport. So I'm like, yeah, I don't know. There's precedent set in both sides. Whatever. I don't want to get into semantics. So that one's on there, and that stage is now complete. We're going to break out stage 7 where I'll screw something else up. But this came out actually pretty good. So we've got the manifolds painted with that Tamiya dark iron, and we've got the carburetor painted with the Tamiya chrome silver. And, if we weather it up a little, you can dull out, rust up this a little bit and dirty up the carburetor a little bit and, all that good stuff. These things didn't stay very clean. This one was in the desert, though, so we'll come up with a solution to that. Oil stains and desert dust. Ooh, interesting combo of weathering. Okay, be right back. Okay, well, we've got pack 7 out here, and this bright orange doodad is going to go right on here. That's actually a nice, very tight press fit. Probably the oil fill, I'm assuming. And then we cut our hose into 2 lengths again, one 9 mil and one 2.5, and we're gonna shove that onto that top nipple, the 2.5 centimeter, sorry, and that's going to go into this side of the engine, and it's going to be at the front, and it's going to face over here. So there's going to be a hole right there. So right at the bottom there's a little hole that little locating pin's going to go into. And then we're going to throw, I'm assuming, a DM screw, scrolly. Yeah, one DM screw into there. Be right back, 1 second. Okay, so that's installed. It's a oil breather tube, looks like. Wonder where that's going to go. It's probably going to, I don't know. It's going to go here? It's going to go, I don't know. It looks like what we're going to be doing now is building the generator. So we're going to take this part here, and this looks like it just kind of shoves in there. Appears there's no real orientation to it, but it's a nice solid press fit. There you go. If you wanted to get crazy, you could like paint those little veins with like a silver paint pen. That might be fun. Not going to go that nuts. And then we got a little pulley to put on the front of this. That little pulley is going to go on there like so. And we're going to get a little BP screw in that hole. 1 second, please. Okay, so what we're going to do now is that little pulley is screwed on there. We're just going to put this little peg in that front hole, and the bracket hole goes over that back hole. And we got to get a DM screw in there. So I'm going to knock that out, and I'll return momentarily. Okie dokie. Looking good. We've got to make this reservoir for something. I don't know if it's coolant overflow or oil, but we're just going to squeeze that little cap on there. And then we've got to shove a little piece of green plastic into this. So we're going to take, we get 2 of these on the sprue. You get a spare also. So we're just going to use the sprue to shove it in. And if the first one doesn't want to fit, try the other one. And that one is fitting a little better, but not all the way. So we're going to use our favorite lubricant for plastic on plastic connections, Tamiya Extra Thin Cement. Surprisingly, it works really well. And a little twisting action. Up! Jim, she's gone. We've killed her. It popped right off. I was giving it too much torsional input. Let me just... Oh, I found it. It's right here. I'm just going to try to shove the spare in. We're going to put a little Tamiya Extra Thin in the hole, and a little Tamiya Extra Thin on the pin. And we're going to much more carefully try to fit her in the hole. And that seems to be working somewhat better. I need to hold these together now, though. Oh, this is fun. I'm going to hit the button with... I'm going to just come over here, and I'll be back in a sec once this glue dries. Hello! Okay, we're back. So full disclosure, this hose looks a little skinnier than the other ones because I accidentally chopped one in half that I should not have chopped in half, and these hoses are slightly thicker than the one I found left over from another kit where I rage quit doing hoses. So this one definitely needed the toothpick trick, where you put a toothpick in the end and push it on there, let it sit there for a minute or so, and then I was able to slide it on there, and I put a little CA glue on it. So we'll do that again when the time comes. What we got to do now is start getting some brackets on here. So we're going to take this little guy here and put that on there, and then there's that little hole right in the middle. That's getting a BP screw. So one sec. All right, well, this is on here now. Now what we got to do is take this bracket, put it on the bottom. It fits on those two bottom pins. And what we're going to do is grab one of these screws, which are AM. Thanks for telling everybody, Ian. You know, they might want to know that. AM screws. We're going to get 1, 2, 3. And we're going to start with this. You got to hold everything together while you're doing this. So it's a little on the fiddly side. And just get that first screw started. And then you can get the other two in and snug down. And then you're done with that stage. So 1 second. Okay. So all those 3 screws are cinched down. Look at that. It's not a complex engine, but it looks good. Now what we've done is we've Q-tip violated our rubber hose here, and we are going to do a couple little things. First, we're gonna extract ourselves from the hose, and then we got to throw it through this little hole in the front of this bracket here. Pull that down. Take up your slack. We're going to come around the back side here, and there's that little pin right there. We're just going to shove it into that hole, but I'm going to be fighting with this for a couple minutes because it's in kind of a tricky spot. So I'll be right back, and I'll show you how it looks when it's done. Okay, so that's done. It actually went in a lot easier than I thought it would. Oh, that's if you hear that, you're dude. Don't undress in the gym bathroom. Yes, there you go. Make sure you get a bathroom stall when you're going. Yes, exactly. So let's get out stage 8. There's a couple pieces missing from here because I took them out ahead of time. I took out the water pump and painted that the same, dark iron. I'm just using that. I mean, in the real, real life things had some different colors on them slightly, but and then we got our exhaust collector pipe, downpipe, whatever you want to call it. Painted that. That's it. Nice and easy. I used Tamiya XF84 dark iron. So quite straightforward. If you have an airbrush, easy enough. You could also use paint markers. You could use brush painting, whatever you like. And you don't have to paint anything. That's my personal decision to do that. It's your model. Do what you want with it. So come on, radiator fan, get out of there. Pesky little son of a... There we go. So there's the stage 8 parts. First thing we're going to do is put together a pulley. So we're going to take this thing with 2 pins and this thing with 2 holes. They're going to go together. We probably do not need to glue them because there's going to probably be a screw involved here. And they're going to go on this fella right up here. Like that. On that upper post. Get your pins lined up. Come on, Ian. Line up your damn pins, son. Get your life together. One of these days I'll have the world figured out better. There we go. Oh, for fudge sake. Okay. For son of a fumble fingers. I should have just glued this together. So you don't need to glue it unless you're me. Or you're extra clumsy. We're going to put 1 DM screw right through that center hole. All right? Be back in a second. Alrighty. Oh, we got that little pulley screwed down. It doesn't need to spin. Don't worry about it. The engine doesn't turn over in real life on this model. So now what we're going to do is put the water pump on here. If it's not a water pump, well, slap me and call me Susie. Which one of my friends will definitely agree to do if I'm wrong. We're going to put it right in there. There's a pin, that second hole over, There's a pin on the back of this. It goes right in there. And then in that tab, we're going to throw a DM screw in there. So, as usual, BRB. Okay, the water pump's on now. And what we got to do next is put on the pulley. So the back side of the pulley has that little notch right there. The front side of the pulley has a little notch in there. We're going to marry those two little notches together. And then we put them on there. Let's see. Oh, and then we put the radiator fan on there. Perfect. And the outside has no nubs. The inside has two nubs. And those two nubs line right up with the two nubs on the face of that pulley. And we hold that down. And we're going to throw, I'm assuming, another, you heard it, take a guess. Nope, a DP screw, because the water pump is plastic. So I'm going to get a DP screw out and put that in there, and I'll be back in a sec. Okay, well, our little radiator fan's on there. Isn't it adorable? There's no radiator shroud in front of it. I think on the back of the radiator was very simple engines back then. It still turns if you want to turn it. I've tightened it down pretty much as far as I'm willing to go. We then got to put on, I guess, the crank cover. And there's a locating pin there, and there's a peg there. So just peg your engine block. There we go. And we're going to get a DM screw in that center hole. One moment, please. Okay, so that's screwed down there. We've got now 3 pulleys on the front of our hyper-complicated engine. Go look at the front of your car. Open the hood. Go out in the driveway. Pop the hood. How many pulleys you got on that thing? Yeah. More than 3. This thing was so dead simple. The other thing we got to do, now I skipped the exhaust pipe step. I'm going to put that on at the end of this. But we got our gratuitous black rubber band radiator belt, fin belt. Sorry. I had Buffalo Wild Wings for dinner. Had some of those yummy potato wedges. Oh, those things are so good. Seasoned perfectly. Okay, get your little rubber schmagegi on there. Nice and no complicated belt routing either. That's it. I think the belt tensioner was probably the generator, most likely. And you can see there's a couple of solid engine mounts on the front of this thing. Hopefully they went on little rubber floaters or grommets or something. Otherwise, well, probably not. This was a Willys Jeep in World War II. Now we're going to take this, and we got little 3 holes there on the bottom of the exhaust manifold outlet. We got the 3 pins on the top of this. You got to kind of just jam it in there. There we go. It's going. It's going. It's going. Let's get some gentle persuasion with a pair of smooth-jawed pliers. No teeth. We don't like teeth. No teeth. Don't use your teeth. Teeth, they hurt. They hurt my plastic tubes. And just squeeze it on there. And it fits nice and snug. I'm sure that paint I added to it didn't hurt any. But yeah, there we go. So it's just a press fit, and it fits in there lovely. It just kind of hugs, kind of rests on the motor mount. Slight design flaw. No, it's fine. It's a model. It's not the real thing. I'm sure the real thing had at least a ½ inch of clearance from the exhaust pipe to the motor mount. Either that or there was a lot of melted motor mounts in World War II. If I'm assuming that's a motor mount, but whatever. I could be wrong. So I think we're all done there. Yep, stage complete. There you go. There are the fruits of our labor. The Sour Patch Kids of our sweat. Yeah, there we go. Meanwhile, I've got my Sour Patch Kid supply handy. Blue raspberry only, please. Thank you. My favorite flavor. Next, we need Pack 9. Here's the big show. Pack 9 is the most complex part of this pack yet. We're going to open this box. We're going to fold these cardboard tabs out. We're going to slide this plastic clamshell out of there, and there's an entire damn frame. Wow. Okay, so let's chuck some cardboard, crack open some turtle death, get rid of that, get this out of here, close up our giant piece of turtle death over here, and there we go. Okay, and scrolling through the instructions, stage complete. Don't worry, there's more stuff to do, but that's it. It's very nice. Good paint finish. Extremely rigid. Super rigid. Probably more rigid than the real thing in World War II. They had frames like wet pool noodles back then. But in those days, the open frame rails were part of the suspension. The frame twisting and flexing actually softened the ride, aside from the springs and the shocks. The tires back then were not very, they didn't give much. So that's that. Now that was 9. So here's 10. Let's get that open. Let's put our motor over here, the beauty spot. Put her in the finished part showroom. Really like that motor. Simple, but such joy to build. Very satisfying. And a little bit of extra paint, and it really makes it pop. Very happy with it. And we got a bunch of brackets here. We got some tan painted DM screws. We got some looks like some jerry can brackets with little silky ribbons meant to be straps. Close up that turtle death. You go in that garbage can. Then we got our rear bumper outriders. So we're going to have to get those installed. So let's see what we got going on here. So we're going to take the pointy part of the bumper here, and we're going to put, so this way up, okay, so these little mounts are sticking up, and then that little tab, that's going to face that way, and they just fit right into those 2 holes there. And we're going to get a DM screw in here and one in there. And should be interesting how we're going to fish our screwdriver in there to tighten those. Actually, the angle isn't really bad at all, so it really shouldn't be a problem. The outside one's way easier. Let me get those screws in, and I will return shortly. Okay, so our little bumpers are on. Looks nice. Very solid, all metal, all of this. These apparently we're going to save for later, so we'll have some nice leftovers to reheat when we got the munchies late at night, or probably when we build the next, kit of the next pack of these. So we're going to get on to stage 11. We're going to start building the transmission, part of the transmission at least. So here we go. Let's do this. What else are we here for? No one's here to listen to me blather away. Although, who knows? There's a couple of weirdos who are. When I'm building these things and I'm like, I'll be right back, I end up taking a minute or two and just watching a little bit more of some YouTube war, documentary video or something. Transmission. This looks like a transfer case. Damn it, it's okay. It's all right. When we're designing the Airwolf, so if you don't already know, we're working as a team. World of Wayne, Todd from mypartworks.com, and myself are collaborating together to spec and help design our wish list of things for the upcoming, not anytime soon, it's like 2027 maybe if we're lucky, Airwolf helicopter. I know it's not proper military, it's paramilitary. So the company, it was the CIA. So we're helping with that. So, we're going to, if anyone wants to leave anything in the comments, if they have any, desires or wants or needs about the model Airwolf, let me know down in the comments there. So let's see. Let's start getting this together. Okay. All right. We got to put something here. So we're going to drop this down on the cross member. This little oval thing with 2 pins. It's going to go right down there. And we're going to get a couple CP screws in there from the bottom. So 1 second, please. All right, well, our 2 screws are in there. There we go. Now we got this fella. This is metal, and it's got this extra little notch at the front. See, it's flat at the back. It's got that little dip at the front. That's going to point towards this way. That's going to point towards this way. Wow, Ian, what a way with the English language. There we go. It's going to point towards this way. Huh? Yeah, I'm a dumbass. We need an FM screw in there. These are nice. All these screws are painted. Nice and tan. Come on. Oh, so much for that. Easy to remove bag. My left foot. Get a little oily on here. Grease her up. She's looking for a good time. There we go. Get a thinner screwdriver in here. Just tearing up friggin' paint. Yeah, you need a nice thin screwdriver to get in this hole. Oh gosh. The hits keep coming. So there we go, just like that. I got a text message. I'll be back in a sec. Alrighty. That's all sorted. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start building the transfer case, it looks like. So we want the one with the 2 posts pointing up, and we want this nub facing us. We're going to take this first doohickey here, right here. It's one of the output shafts. Input shaft, output shaft, I don't know. One or the other. We're going to put that one there. We're going to put this one with the skinny side out over there with its nubs. And we're going to sandwich this on top of it, like so, and put it together with 2 CP screws in those 2 holes. 1 moment, please. Okay, so that's all together, looking like that. Nice. Oh no, I'm starting to talk like Wayne. Looking like that. Yeah, it happens. Now we're going to put together this damper doodad, and pretty self-explanatory. The pegs go over the posts, and then 2 CP screws in there and there. And just 1 moment. Okay, so this is together. I was trying to figure out what it was, but now that we're putting it on here, it looks like a kind of flywheel or damper for the transfer case. Maybe a clutch. Who knows? A viscous coupler. I don't know if they had that. But yeah, there we go. So that's together like that. We still have this little tube thing here. Not sure what we're doing with that yet, but I think scrolling and we shall find out. Cut part away from the sprue. Oh, that's a sprue. That explains it. I see. So we want to cut it right at that end of that angled bit. That is the sprue. So now we have a nice, easily losable part to test my abilities with. Looks like a drain plug hole, yeah. And we're just going to shove it in this little hole here. Let's see. Is it a good press? Ah, it is a good press fit. Oh, look, it's like a little nut for a drain plug. So, very nice. And that's done. This garbage. Oh, my aching back. Let's see here. And we are going to mount it in here like that, and that little tab there is going to get a DM screw. So 1 sec, let me find, where's my tan DM screws? There we go. Get that on there. Going in the metal, especially painted. The screw's painted, the metal's painted. That is a recipe for a snug fitting screw. We'll just angle that back there. Perfect. So that's in. That's it for that stage. Next we have 12 and 13 are identical but opposite. We've got our we got a couple leaf spring assemblies here with shackles and hangers, so that's going to be fun. Let me read up on the instructions and I'll start getting parts out. I'm going to put 13 aside for now, but that'll just be a repeat of 12. So basically we're going to be done by that. I'll just get that done after we do 12 together, and then I'll show you the finished result. But let me get this out and we'll go over 12. 1 second. Okay, so we're going to put these two bits on here right now. This one goes right over these two holes in the back. And this one goes over these two holes here, but we want, the holes aren't centered, so we want it to overhang in towards the inside of the frame rails a little bit. And we're going to use a total of 4 CM screws to hold these in. So give me a sec, be right back. Alrighty. So our brackets are secured, and you can see that how this one hangs over towards the inside. Other side's going to be the same, but opposite. It's going to hang over that way. Now we're going to start building up the rear shackle assembly. So we put the long end of this C-shaped, well, basically U-bolt shaped thing in there. Break out a few CM screws here. We're going to need some. And we're going to take this. Now the hole down here, hold on, let me just, the hole right here, we got to put one of these brackets onto. So we want this going against the hole, the side I'm holding with my thumb. I guess it could be interchangeable somewhat. No, yeah, this way, just like that. Fudgers. Put that there. See, I'm trying to do this for the camera. This is why I do things off camera with the screws. Because I think everyone knows what I'm trying to accomplish here. And my flailing attempts to do so. So we want to get the bracket up, and then we're going to get this fella. We're just going to get it started in there. We don't need it super tight yet. And then we're going to take this. Now, there's only one end that'll fit over this. The other end is a smaller hole. So get that over there. Throw this over that. Another CM screw in there. Be right back. Okay, those are in. So we got that rear shackle on there. Now what we want to do is put this guy into the front leaf hanger. And we got to put this part on like that and put a CM screw through it. So I'm going to knock that out real. Let me see if I can just do that. Nope. Nope. I think the paint makes these a little hard to grab. You know what? Trying to hold everything up. I need like 4 arms. So we're going to get this one in here. We're going to get the other one on the inside in the opposite direction. And I'll be right back. Okay, so that's done. And no, that's not a mistake. That's how it's supposed to be. I think there might be like a torque rod that goes back to the axle or something. You know, for axle wrap. When you're flooring it, this thing only had like 90 horsepower maybe. The leaf spring could go in an S shape on you and start making the axle hop, and you don't want wheel hop on a solid axle truck. That's just bad. That'll blow up your universal joints on your pinions, and you're gonna have a bad day in the desert if that happens to you. So you definitely do not want that. I want to tighten this screw a little more. This piece just wants to keep moving. It'll get secured at some point with some other assembly. It's just annoying me. I'm going to get the other leaf spring done. It's just like this, but the opposite. So I'll get that one done, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, so that's in there. Now, this screw right here was particularly tricky because I tried to get in here with this screwdriver, tried to go over the top. It didn't really want to thread in straight for me, and this thing, that was a hopeless cause. It was so big. But this is one of the new nifty ratchet drivers that I got from Mike Lane Mods when we were out there. And this is another great thing. This little Veta little hex driver, and you could basically put your thumb on the back of it And just like that, you could get your screws tightened in tight spots. So this thing is great. So obviously, go to Mike Lane go to Mike Lane Mods and buy your Veta tools. But we are done with this pack. That's awesome. There we go. There's our leaf springs. These are only on one side, not the other, which makes sense. You only really, if this is for an anti-wrap rod, for a traction device, you really only really need one, I guess, bare minimum. But yeah, this is coming along very, very nicely. I like how it looks. I like it a lot. So yeah, either way, click the links below to Agora models to get your SAS Jeep. I highly recommend it. It's going to be really fun. If you like weathering models especially, get this thing. It's a blank canvas. They pre-paint it in tan, and you get the sky's the limit on the weathering. It's going to be very fun. So yeah, click the link down there. Click the links to my Amazon store. Click the link to Mike Lane Mods. Like, subscribe, comment, blah, yada, 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 yada. Adios, everybody.